So, I was told we're supposed to fight. This fight seems counterproductive. You're right, I can't deal with this right now. Damn.
For a few years now, the only Ultra Magnus figures we've been getting are white Optimus Prime repaints, and in the past year or so, we've gotten two really great G1 representations of true Ultra Magnus. Now, some people have a budget, and some people can, don't have a budget. They can get whatever they want. So there's been a lot of talk about like which one should be your like definitive like G1 Ultra Magnus toy updated. In the last year, so we're going to be doing a comparison between the Masterpiece MP22 Ultra Magnus and the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. First off, we're going to take a look at the vehicle modes. Now, this is not going to be what's more accurate or which one, is bigger or better. It's which one should, which one, each one has their own strengths and each one has their own weaknesses, and come up to your own conclusion of which one do you think is better for your money. So first up, we're going to take a look at Masterpiece Ultra Magnus in his vehicle mode. It does have a very limited turning axis here with the cab and the trailer. And of course, this is 100% based on G1. It doesn't really take much liberties with the design, and it does have size to its advantage because it's a very big and beefy looking truck mode. Some people really hated the MP2 Masterpiece Ultra Magnus, and people like me who are just sick of white Prime repaints, and this is was one of the first great figures that great G1 based Magnus. And transformation is a little bit finicky for the trailer, and I hate pulling these things out, so that's kind of a pain in the ass. It is really good, does have some nice Autobot symbols molded in, and the cab is of course based on the MP10 Convoy figure, and you can put little Spike and Daniel in here through the top of the cab, so very similar. This one can have pilots, just like with the Combiner Wars. The trailer can detach from the cab, although it does kind of leave the cab looking a little bit silly, and I'm not sure why they felt the need to include this in here, but yeah, when you take the cab off, you can see some of the hollow bits here in the back, and it doesn't look all that great, so best to just leave it on. And just like with the G1 Magnus, you can fold down these to create ramps, and do the same thing for the top here. And there's weapon storage here. I don't have his actual guns attached there, but big advantage, he's got size, 100% G1 accurate. Disadvantages, the trailer's a little bit finicky, and doesn't really have that much of a turn radius here. It doesn't really turn all that much, but it does have a creepy G1 Megatron smiley face right here, and looks really good. Missing some paint detailing here and there, but still looks great. Now on to the brand new Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. This is significantly smaller than Masterpiece Ultra Magnus, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. This is not G1 Magnus. This is based on IDW Ultra Magnus. The vehicle mode is kind of like a mix of G1 and IDW, because the IDW Ultra Magnus vehicle mode was a lot more Cybertronian looking, but this still has some great advantages, like the turn radius on the trailer with the cab is great. The weapon storage here makes sense. It looks awesome, but you can also just take them off too. The trailer does feel a little bit hollow at points, especially here and here. Like the Masterpiece is missing some paint detailing, especially on the wheels here. It does not have a real storage place for Minimus Ambus in vehicle mode, only in robot mode. So there's no pilot in vehicle mode. Just like Masterpiece, you can create these ramps here for other cars to get on, and lower these to create another ramp. So very similar in that regard. Disadvantage in this one, as far as size, it is a lot smaller, but it's really meant to be for in scale with the Generations line and Classics, and if that's the case, and it does a really good job. And for the price point, it's a leader class figure, so you definitely get a good size figure, as opposed to a Masterpiece right here, which is about 4 times the price. You can see the size difference. Of course, Masterpiece Magnus has die cast on them, and Combiner Wars is all plastic. The trailer does not come off. It's pretty much permanently stuck here. If you really want to, you could take the screw off, and that way it could come off, but it serves no point. So yeah, overall, if you wanted to do comparison between the two, they're both really good in their own way. You know, the Masterpiece is 100% G1 accurate, while the Combiner Wars is a mix of IDW and G1. But because of the die cast and the color, I don't like this color blue that was really used in Combiner Wars Magnus. It's, you know, too light. But even though that this, like, you know, the movement between the cab and trailer is kind of hindered, overall the G1 Magnus or the Masterpiece Magnus is, you know, much better to look at. And while the Combiner Wars vehicle mode Ultra Magnus does feel a little bit cheap at parts, especially with the hollowness in the trailer, but I'd say I'd really give the nudge to Masterpiece here. Alright, as far as transformation goes, if you know what you're doing, transformation for these guys takes about the same amount of time. You know, Masterpiece is a little bit bigger, so he's a little bit more finicky. Combiner Wars is smaller and all plastic, so he tends to be a little bit easier at first, but both of them are about the same as far as complexity goes. And there's a lot of parts borrowed from Masterpiece to Combiner Wars as far as transformation that's very similar. Robot modes for Masterpiece, obviously, you know, he's bigger, he's heavier, he's bulkier, he's more G1 accurate. Combiner Wars leader class, even for leader class, he's a little bit on the small side. He's all plastic. The shades of blue is, you know, not as desirable. But if you compare the two, Masterpiece Ultra Magnus is a little bit more on the dull side. He still looks great. I mean, he's not really supposed to be, you know, ultra complex looking. He's more, you know, he's supposed to be based on G1. Ultra Magnus's arms can, you know, as far as his articulation, he's a little bit limited as far as his because of his bulk, but he does have good range of motion. The head is very expressive, and the alternate faces is really nice, and the white prime face underneath his helmet is a great nod. No waist articulation. Both of these figures are really brilliant as far as not having a white prime base, and you know, the trailer or the cap transforming directly into the trailer is also really nice. Legs are a little bit dull on looking at this guy, and of course you can buy the Replica labels set for this guy and give him a little bit more detail, but I don't like the way the stickers look. And he does have a gun, but I don't have that one out right now. We want to look at Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. I feel that this guy is a lot more interesting to look at. I love the IDW design of Ultra Magnus with the chest is way more detailed and much more contemporary. The head still looks great. The faces on these guys are very similar. Of course, this one's just a lot smaller. Everything like from the his super shoulders with these like kind of designs at the top are very IDW designs on the shoulders. His chest, of course, his legs. Great IDW design, and you get a lot of very cool ideas with weapons. Of course, you can have him have two handheld guns and have the rockets on his shoulders, which there's two on each side as per IDW, or you can combine them all to form a hammer like this, and it becomes a very like you know, homage to animated and prime versions of Ultra Magnus. You know, of course, those versions of Ultra Magnus are very good as well, but they're, you know, kind of doing their own thing, while these are, you know, more or less, you know, based on G1 Ultra Magnus. Yeah, of course, and I always feel like it was kind of a bummer that, you know, this guy's chest opens up to have a storage for the Matrix of Leadership, which he does not come with, which is very, very silly to me. And just like Masterpiece, this guy's chest opens up too, but instead of just having nothingness, you get Minimus Ambus, the true identity of Ultra Magnus, piloting the armor here. And I've really liked the idea of this, not only just in toy form but in comics too. It's really cool, and have detail, a little panel in here of him piloting the suit, kind of like a Gundam, but not really. A lot of people kind of shit on the idea, but I like it. It's cool. Kind of explains how he's so immortal in the movie, where he just gets blown to pieces, but hey, I'm alive, actually. So, which one should you get if you want G1 Ultra Magnus? If money is not a matter with you, you know, this guy who's almost 200 bucks, Combiner Wars, which is between $40 and $50 depending where you get it. You know, Ultra Magnus here, Masterpiece, has die-cast metal, a little bit more of a complex transformation. He's, you know, doesn't have a US retail version yet. He's solely Takara Tomy Japanese exclusive, so you have to import him. You know, just only has one weapon, and the fact that he doesn't have a matrix is kind of silly. Transformation is still brilliant, although, you know, leaving his butt flap here is a little bit silly. Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus, ranging between 40 and 50. He's a little bit smaller, but he's still, A great looking figure, has a lot more of an interesting robot mode in my opinion, and several variations of what you can do with his weapons, and the inclusion of Minimus Ambus as the the true form of Ultra Magnus. I feel that overall, just because of the robot mode here, the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus is a better buy for your money. But that's my personal opinion. Some people really don't like the IDW Magnus, and I perfectly understand it. But for me, I do feel that even though the vehicle mode is a little bit cheap looking and the hollowness of the plastic is very visible there, but the inclusion of Minimus Ambus and the variations of his weapons and the overall just detail of the robot mode, I feel makes this a better value than Masterpiece Ultra Magnus. But that's, like I said, that's my opinion. Post whatever you feel about the two in the comment section. I'm sure some people are going to have their own opinions about the two, but and I'd really like to see what everyone thinks about them. Alright guys, you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/SSJAutobot. You can Instagram me too, SSJAutobot. And you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/SSJ_Autobot. And of course, you can pick up both of these figures in the link in the description below at bigbadtoystore.com. And I'll catch you next time.